I found that I actually like teaching even more online and one-on-one. I found that I just can't believe the types of results that I'm able to get. So I personally love, love, love it. Every tutor that I have worked with so far has said they feel like they're teaching more than they ever did in the classroom and without any of the headaches or the admin issues or, a principal looking over your head or curriculum deadlines that you have to like be on this module by this date or any of those kinds of things. Like nobody's looking over your shoulder and you can just really focus on the students and what your goals are for each of your students and reach them.
Welcome to the Teacher Money Show, the podcast dedicated to helping educators like yourself navigate your unique financial challenges and unlock your financial superpowers. I'm your host, Sean Morgan, a full-time teacher and entrepreneur, and I'm here to help teachers navigate everything related to your money. Whether you have questions about budgeting on a teacher's salary, managing student loans, increasing your income, or making the most of your benefits, I'm here to make money less confusing, more empowering, and a tool you can use to focus on what matters most. So whether you're a seasoned teacher looking for fresh insights or a new educator navigating your first paycheck, this podcast is your go-to resource for all things money related. So if you're ready to have a richer wallet, classroom, and life, let's dive in. The contents of this podcast are informational in nature and are not legal or tax advice, and neither I nor my guests are engaged in the provision of legal, tax, or any other advice. You should not act upon this information without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional. So excited to have Joanne Kaminski on the podcast today. Before I start talking to Joanne, I just wanted to remind all of you that if you would like to come on the podcast, if you'd like to get one-on-one financial coaching for free on this podcast, go to teachermoneyshow.com/guest. I'd also really appreciate it if you'd give us a rating, a review, subscribe to the podcast, and all those good things to help us grow the show. All right, so let's talk about Joanne, because Joanne is awesome. So Joanne is a trailblazer in the world of online tutoring. With 20 plus years of experience as a teacher and a reading specialist, she has made a seamless transition to becoming a sought-after online reading tutor and business coach. As the founder of Online Tutor Coach, Joanne empowers over 20,000 tutors to grow their businesses and reach more students. From her popular YouTube channel and Facebook group to her inspiring Instagram posts and podcasts, Joanne is changing the game for online tutors everywhere. And if you want to learn the secrets to success, you can grab a copy of her Amazon bestseller, How to Start an Online Tutor Business, making 4 to 5 figures a month. That's a month, right? Not how much you make
Yes.
in a year. That's a month. And get ready to
Yes,
get
a
inspired
month.
to take your tutoring business to the next level. All right.
In fact, a lot of the tutors are now making 6 figures in their tutoring business for a
6
year.
years. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
You started a huge tutoring business online. How did you get into tutoring?
Honestly, it was kind of like one of those aha moments that I had. I actually left the teaching world because of a pain in my side. I was in and out of the hospital, and I had to make a decision if I was going to come back the following school year. And I had 3 little ones at that time, so I had a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old at that time. And I was like, you know what? I need just to figure out a way to be able to make money from home and like be a mom who's present. Like that needs to be my focus right now. And so I tried 5 other businesses and completely failed at them in my first year. And then in my second year of being away from the school system, I was missing teaching so much that all of a sudden I had this brainstorm idea. I'm like, I could do online tutoring. Like, I know how to make that happen because of the businesses that I had done. I'm like, I know how to advertise for it. I know how to actually teach online. Like, I can picture it all right now. And so then I started putting the idea on out there to other people. And of course, everybody was poo-pooing my idea that it couldn't happen. You can't teach reading online. I put it out there to my sister-in-law. I'm like, hey, I just want to see like if what I'm thinking is going to work out. I'm like, because honestly, like I've been doing this in person. I had taken on like 1 or 2 kids to come to my house and did some tutoring throughout that first year. And then she kind of looked at me and she was like, "You mean like I'm gonna be your guinea pig?" And I'm like, "Well, no, your son is really struggling with reading, and he lives in Illinois, and I live in Wisconsin. So, I mean, technically, there's no other way that I'd be able to help him. This is really the only way that I'd be able to help him. So, if I can help him, I want to help him, and at the same time, I'd like to see if this would work and if this would be a viable business." And she kinda grudgingly in the beginning, it took me a lot of convincing to get her to say yes. Like, I can't I'm like, "It takes this much to get, like, one person to say yes to free tutoring, are you kidding me?" Like, I was actually like, I could not believe that I felt like I was giving this gift of gold to somebody, and I had to convince them that this could work, and then once her own she got to see her own son reading on grade level and how quickly it happened, I mean, she ended up becoming my biggest advocate and talking about it to everybody that she could possibly talk to about it, and even still today is a big advocate of what it is that I do, and, over that year, I just continued to market my tutoring business and learn how to connect with other people and get the word on out there, built my website and used YouTube and used all these organic strategies to be able to get found. I even found a couple of ways to get paid to get found that worked really well as in addition because I'm totally against like Facebook ads and Google ads when it comes to getting tutoring students. So I really dived into everything that I possibly could organically to try to get found. And today I not only book salad, like, as soon as I lose a student, like, not lose a student, but as soon as a student leaves because they've reached their goals, I automatically have somebody emailing me in my inbox asking me if I'm taking on a student right now, and I'm able to fill that spot that quickly.
That is incredible. Congratulations on your business growing so much. So you did this after transitioning out of the classroom.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that most of your students or a lot of your students haven't transitioned yet. They're still teaching in the classroom,
Yeah.
but also
Yeah. Yeah, and I highly suggest that. I think it's a better idea to, like, get started while teaching. Take some of those down months that you have, to really build up your tutoring business or put those pieces in place, start tutoring, see if you like doing it. Um, I found that I actually like teaching even more online and one-on-one. I found that I just can't believe the types of results that I'm able to get, so I personally love, love, love it. Every tutor that I have worked with so far has said they feel like they're teaching more than they ever did in the classroom and without any of the headaches or the admin issues or, a principal looking over your head or curriculum deadlines that you have to, like, be on this module by this date or any of those kinds of things, like, nobody's looking over your shoulder, and you can just really focus on the students and what your goals are for each of your students and reach them.
I love that. You have these goals you're trying to reach, and you just get there when they get there. The one-on-one thing. I love teaching online. I think it's fantastic. I actually think that the world of teaching needs to go more towards people are put through curriculum more like automatically, and then the teacher acts more
Yes.
like a tutor than just a
Yes.
dispenser of information, right? I think that would
Yeah.
help our students a lot more. But I'm not making those large decisions because I'm not at the top. But if you're teaching full time, you said you can use your downtime. Can you also tutor during the school year? Is that viable with
Sure.
balance?
I mean, it really is gonna depend on you and what does it look like when you come home from work. If you have young kids, I don't know if I would necessarily if I had young kids and I was teaching all day, if I would necessarily get this started at that point in my life. I Because you only get one chance to be a mom or dad, right? And if you want to do like teaching part-time and then do tutoring part-time, that's one thing. But to do teaching full-time and then do part-time tutoring in the evening, you're gonna miss out on a lot of those like big moments for your kids. And I don't think you're really gonna want to do that. You're gonna miss out on their soccer games, their, dance recitals and taking them to the places that they need to go. It doesn't mean that it can't be done. It absolutely can be done. I think sometimes people just need to prove to themselves that it can be done. Like they don't trust that it can be done, or they're not sure if they can do it, if they can really commit to it, or those kinds of things. It also depends on like what is your position in the school system. So if your position is, full-time classroom teacher, you got your 30 some odd kids inside of your classroom, you're constantly spending your time with creating your lesson plans and um, correcting papers all the time. You really have to take a look at what are you able to handle because you don't if you are already getting burnt out from teaching, then adding on tutoring on top of that might burn you out more. Or it could be a break and it could be something that you're like, "Wow, I love this even more. This feels like play versus what I'm doing all day long." Because honestly, I don't do any lesson planning for any of my students. I have 20 students. I don't do 1 ounce of lesson planning. I teach on demand. So as a child is coming across something that's difficult for them, I'm thinking about, well, how can I teach that to them so they understand that better, right? I'm teaching on demand. I'm not teaching, you know, to a curriculum. So it's a very different style of teaching, where you're able to take a look at what are those specific gaps that you have, and how can I fill those gaps as the tutor, and how can you get to that next level in your learning.
You're not trying to herd all of the cats through the same hoop at the same time. Is that
Right. Right, and I'm not trying to dumb down the smart kids because they can't get too smart before the other kids catch up to them. And I've gotten to work with both sides. I've gotten to work with gifted kids who they're like, "Look, nobody's challenging them, and they could move so much further." And I've had parents be like, "Can you help them?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding?" Like, I it's so fun to work with kids that learn quickly. Like, oh my gosh, compared to when you're working with, dyslexics or kids with, learning disabilities, those kinds of things, which is really the most of the types of students that I do end up working with. It is so fun to get some of those kids that you're like, wow, you are a rock star. You're just like go, 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 go with them. Some parents are really eager in the early years too to get their kids reading and they know that their kid is ready. It's like parents have this intuition. They're like, if I just only knew what to do next. And then they find me and they're like, can you help them, like, learn to read? Like, they know their letters, they can't blend the sounds together, "Can you take them to the next level?" I'm like, "Sure can." And I can take those kiddos and I can get them reading at a 1st grade level before they even hit kindergarten.
I love that. That is awesome. All right. So you're a teacher full time. You have to figure out when you can do it. I mean, I'm a huge advocate of we have time as teachers. We have summers. Okay.
Yeah,
As much as we talk about how we're not paid for our summers, that's true. But that also means we have the time during the summer to do something like
right,
tutoring. And often I think a lot of
right.
people want their child to be tutored during the summer when they have more time
Yes.
to get their stuff done. So I think there's actually an increase in demand during that time for sure. Um,
There can be, yeah, if you have the right marketing, advertising, and the organic strategies in place, absolutely. If you just think that people are just gonna find you and you just, like, have to, like, create these resources and then it's that build it and they will come model. That doesn't work for this industry. It's not build it and they will come. I have to get the word out there in as many different ways as I possibly can if I want to be able to fill it. So if you are a go getter, then this is definitely for you. If you're somebody who you're just like, I don't know, like, will I be able to get students? Can I get students? You can, you absolutely can. But not only that, Sean, can I share something with you?
oh, I'm all for secrets.
All right. So I I could never have, like, talked about money, like, when I was in the school system, I never could have talked about money.
Mhm.
Um, I was making $50,000 at that time when I left, which, it's okay, but I mean, I had gone not only did I go to Marquette University and I had gone to Cardinal Stritch to get my master's and all of that kinda stuff, but $50,000 seemed like a lot of money to me then. Today, I am able to work 20 hours a week, making $120,000 a year.
Wow.
And I thought in the beginning that going from teacher to tutor was a step down. And I devalued myself because of that. So I didn't charge enough for my services in the beginning, but I'm telling you, if you guys who have, the 10, 20 years of experience under your belt already, you could be charging 80, 90, $100 an hour for your services easily. Today I'm charging $125 an hour for my reading services. And you know what people think? They don't look at that and say, I can't afford that. They say, wow, you must be really good.
And you are, just to clarify for everyone that's listening. She is really good.
I am pretty good. I actually have learned how to close the gap a full year with 8 to 12 hours of instruction teaching kids reading online. And that's unheard of in the school system. So when I found out I was able to do that with the assessments that I used and tracking the data, I knew I was onto something.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I love that because I mean, 100, like let's say $100 an hour. Compare that to the 25, $30 an hour if you're lucky that you get if you like, oh, how about you stay after school and help us with like taking money at a basketball game, right? Like
Right.
what do you want to do with your
Which
time,
would you
right?
rather? Oh my gosh, can I tell you something? My sister-in-law was doing that. And I looked at her and I said, Chris, why are you doing this? I'm like, Chris, she teaches calculus at the high school level. I said, Chris, you could be charging $150 an hour tutoring this subject. How many basketball games do you have to sit at in order to make that kind of money? And she still hasn't taken me up on it. I'm like, "Okay, I'm done having the conversation with you. This is gonna be her last year of teaching, and next year she's gonna get a part-time job, and she still isn't gonna take a look at tutoring." I'm like, "Do you think I'm lying? Like, what the heck? Why would you turn down it's a natural skill for you that you could easily be making this money. Why are you turning down good money?" Why I just think about, even tutors that get started with me in 10 weeks, um, I just had a lady who ended up getting 20 students in, over the last 7 months. She's now making $7,700 a month, and she is just over the moon excited. She's a single mom, and she's just over the moon excited that she doesn't have to go back to the teaching world, and she can just focus on her tutoring business and know that she's always going to have enough students to be able to pay her bills and even do a lot of extra fun stuff that she never even thought that she could do.
Wow. So we're talking a lot about money. So that means I want to ask you a question, right? So you're saying she knows she's going to have enough money. Uh, what do you do when it's not as much as you expect? Like what, like you have like, 10 students and then you drop to five because I don't know,
Sure.
half of them break their leg and whatever the reason is. How
Well,
do you
and some
handle it?
just reach their goals, right? Some reach their goals. Some are going on vacation, they wanna take a break or, it is a little bit of a roller coaster in the beginning. That's a natural stage of the tutoring because you don't naturally have right now, I can go into my inbox and I probably have 2 or 3 students that are leads right now inside of there that I can continue working on to be able to become a client. But I get these leads every single week. So it's learning lead generation. And you do this in an organic manner through your website, through keywords, through learning this thing called SEO, which I know is way out there for a lot of people, but it's pretty much, when you type something on into to the search bar and then stuff comes up, it's the reverse of that. It's knowing what to put in so that the people that when they type it in, they're finding your stuff and you come up on page 1 of Google. So, I teach that strategy to people so that their stuff is showing on up and they can get found. But I think, once you get all of those pieces in, it's kind of like you don't have to do too much. Like, I haven't advertised my tutoring services in the last 6 years. I haven't had to do anything because of all the work that I put on the front end. So now I have so many referrals, I have so many connections. I keep myself amongst other tutors, right? Tutors have kids who, might be struggling in the area that you help with. And I have this mantra, help enough people get what they want and you will automatically get what you want. And so that's always been my mantra is I'm just going to be of service, of value to other people, and then just see where that brings me. And I continue to have clients that hire me because I have people that I'm business coaching and they're like, can you work with my kid? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Of course I can. And so it's really cool. It's like these relationships that you build over time in the networking and the tutoring community. And that's why I have the Facebook group so that people don't feel alone because teaching, you've got your people, right? You've got your grade level team that you've got. We also had houses at the school that I was in, so it was like third, fourth, and fifth grade, and all the teachers would get together for like weekly meetings and those kinds of things. And you were surrounded by people, but in tutoring, it can be a very lonely business. So I created the the ultimate support group for online tutors so that tutors didn't have to feel isolated and alone. They could feel like they were supported by a group of other people and they could get to know other people and they could connect with people who tutor something that's the same or different or just get different perspectives or learn about how people make decisions inside of their business. And it's been a really great community for tutors to come on in and just kind of ask those burning questions that they have that they don't really have anywhere else to go to be able to ask them.
That's fantastic. I heard two really, really amazing things. One, realizing it's going to be up and down at the beginning. So I think it's a really good reason to keep your job while you're starting off, because that way you have that
Yeah.
foundation. I mean, and if you become a tutor, you don't have to quit your job. Just throwing that out there.
No.
There are plenty of people that do it part time.
But you're probably gonna want to. I mean, once you see how much money you can make, you're probably gonna
Yeah. So just the point
honestly, you'll be
is,
like, "Wait, I can make that much here versus what that I have to deal with over here?"
the point is that you can have that solid base as you're going through that fluctuation stage. And then the
Yeah,
other huge point was networking, connecting with other people. People make things happen. So I think that
yeah.
those are two huge bits. So you said that you started out charging too little, and now you charge what you're worth. How do you come up with pricing for tutoring services? If I'm starting tomorrow, do I charge $125?
Sure, if you feel like you can. So how confident would you feel charging $125?
I don't know. I'm not starting.
Alright, well, then there's the answer. So it really does come down to how serious are you about it, right? And how confident do you feel? I mean, if I say $125 and you say to me, "Like, yeah, right, like anybody's gonna pay that." No, you've got a lot of money mindset work that you have to do. And I had a lot of money mindset work that I had to do. I came from poverty. You don't just go from growing up in poverty to, going into the school system to starting your own business. And all of a sudden that poverty mindset has disappeared. I had to learn how to go from being, not only that, I also had to go from being an employee to being a business owner. And that was a different mindset as well. So I had two mindsets that I was really fighting. So the $40 an hour was actually based off of, I had seen Sylvan. So this was my thinking at the time. Here's my poverty mindset. Okay. I thought, okay, Sylvan is charging $50 an hour for their students. This is back in 2010, but they're only paying the tutor 15. There's no way. There is no way they're a reading specialist. There just isn't. And so who would you rather work with? If you're a parent, would you rather work with a reading specialist or would you rather work with somebody at Sylvan who probably has somebody who's like right out of college or, you know, some teacher who's like just needing a few extra dollars to, do it? Which would you rather? And I think at the end of the day, and they don't even see the same tutor every single time. So they come on into their, right? They come into their building and whoever's there for the day, they grab their file and they apparently look at these notes magically and know what to do. I don't believe that. I mean, unless they just have like a workbook model and they're like, okay, you're on page 56. Got it. Here you go. I don't know what they're doing, but I have not heard good things from that model. So I was like, well, if they're charging 50, then I could charge 40. That's how sick my thinking was. Clearly, I was worth even more than that at that time. But to me, 40 was a lot of money, and I had to get over that money hump, and I had to say, "Okay, we just had a brand new tutor who just got started with us, and she was charging $50 an hour," and she's like, "Oh my gosh," she's like, "You guys are all charging like $100 an hour? I'm gonna charge $100 an hour." I'm like, "All right, go for it." Like, if you believe you can, you can. You're gonna get a client. Very first client that she gets signed up with goes, "Wow, you must be really good." And she was like, wow, I was not expecting that. I was expecting I can't afford that. And I think what you'll find at some of the lower rates is that you'll find more of the people that are like, I can't afford that because we get into the money conversation too soon. And so a lot of times, like when a parent is asking you about your services and those kinds of things, you need to have a system in place that runs smoothly for you where you're not making money the first thing you talk about. You need to make the child the very first thing that you talk about. They're calling you because they have a problem. You have to dive deep into that problem. What is the problem? How long have they had it? What have they been doing to try to solve this problem? You know, um, Have they done anything at school to try to help? Are they and do they have an IEP? Ask all the questions that you can to learn more about the child, right? And then if you're a good fit, you can use your active listening skills to restate, what you heard them say. So I heard you say that you really want your child to just pick up a book on his own without it being a chore for him, that he could just read it easily and effortlessly. And that's exactly what I can help him do. I can take him from reading these phonics books that he's reading right now to reading these Harry Potter books. Is that something that you're interested in? And they say, of course, yes. I say, are you ready to get started? They say yes. 99.9% of the time, they don't even ask me how much I charge.
That
That
is
doesn't mean I don't tell them. I mean, I send them the information. I just say, I'm going to send you a document on how payment works and all that stuff. I have that all written down for you. You can take a look at that. And if you have any questions, you just let me know.
That's awesome. I love that approach, focusing on the child, because the child is really what matters. And
Hmm.
money is an exchange of value. It's just
Right.
I've made something that's worth this much value, and I want something that's worth that much value. And
Mhm.
for me anyway, and for most people I know, your child is the thing that you value most. So you're going to be
Yes.
willing to put a lot into your child. You value your child, so you're going to value services that are going to help your child succeed. And I think that is
Hmm.
huge. Okay,
Yeah.
so uh, we're wanting to get started tutoring because you've convinced us that it's worthwhile, it's doable. Um, what mistakes should a new tutor be aware of and try to avoid?
Oh, I think the very first mistake that every tutor thinks is they think they know exactly what the first steps are that they need to take. I need a business card, I need a website, I need a logo, they're like thinking so there are 4 stages of learning, okay? Now when it comes to teaching and tutoring, you're already at the 4th stage because you've been doing it for so long, but when it comes to starting a business, you're at the 1st stage, and that 1st stage is unconscious incompetence. That means you don't know what you don't know, right? We pretend to know. We think we know. It's like when you're a little kid and you see your parents driving, you think that driving looks like this with your hands just kind of moving up and down, right? You don't realize all the other things that need to happen in order to really make that car go and to avoid getting in an accident, right? So that's that unconscious incompetence. That's where everybody starts. You don't have a choice. Like you just don't get to skip it unless you were in business before. You just don't get to skip it. And there are a lot of tutors that they want to bootstrap this thing all by themselves and they take a whole bunch of the wrong actions because they don't know what to focus on first. And so, I mean, really, the next stage then is conscious incompetence. This is where overwhelm comes in because you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this and I have to do this. Oh my god. And then I have to be on social media and I have to create my own website and I have to have an ideal client. I want to teach everyone. I don't know who my ideal client should be. And I don't know, like, wouldn't I get more students if I just said I could work with everyone or if I had these 5 different areas that I could tutor versus just saying one area? Like that's the conscious incompetence. You're all of a sudden starting to become aware. And then that next stage is conscious competence. You now are starting to get to the phase, and this is where my $5,000 a month people and more start to come on in because they're like, okay, I got this. I got this. There might be some things that I'm still learning here and there. It's a little rocky sometimes. I got a little bit of a roller coaster. A student leaves. I don't have a new one coming in quite yet, but we're going to get there, right? And then you get to the unconscious competence where you no longer have to think about it. All of your students are finding you automatically because of all of the work that you've already done, and it is just a dream. So, but we think that we can get to stage 4 in the beginning, and we can't do that with anything. So that's why I tell people like seek out our group, come join us. I have started something that's brand new this year. It's called the game of tutoring because I think that honestly, starting your tutoring business should be fun, right? So I've made it into a game. And you start off by taking a quiz. And the quiz lets you know what stage of your tutoring business you're at. Now, some of you guys, if you're in the teaching world and you're like, no, I haven't had any students, you already know you're at level 1. And that's okay. The goal of the game is not to get from level 1 to level 6. The the name of the game is to get from level 1 to level 2. Or if you're at level 2, to get to level 3. You win, and that's the goal. The goal is just to get to the next level, and then you get to decide for yourself, "Do I wanna get to the next level?" Maybe a yes or it might be a no. You might be happy exactly where you're at. So my level 1 tutors, they're making between 0 and $1,000 a month. Level 2, they're making, up to $2,000. Level 3, they're making up to $4,000. Level 5, they're making up to $5,000. So you get to set those goals. And then I have, guess that this is awesome, you a checklist so you know exactly what to focus on and you don't focus on the wrong things in your business right out of the gate so you can get success a lot faster than I did and you can get success like Karina just got from in 7 months making now $7,700 a month with her tutoring business. And I've got Alexa in my community who she's making over $10,000 a month in her tutoring business, and Max is making over $10,000 a month in his tutoring business. And some of these tutors, they've decided to do group classes. Some have decided to stick with just the one-to-one tutoring. But every single one of these tutors, they have gone through these steps and these stages, and they are loving it because the things that we experience as a level 1 tutor and the things that I experience as a level 3 tutor, they're not the same. As a level 1 tutor, I don't know what stages to take in the beginning stages of my business. By the time I get to level 3, I've got clients. I might even start feeling a little bit burnt out. And so I have how do you stop yourself from burning out? How do I put those right pieces? And by the time you get to level 5, you're like, "Passive income, please. I don't wanna trade all of my time for money anymore." Could I add some passive income into this for my business? And the answer is yes, and I share all the different strategies for those tutors on how to do that. So I literally have a step-by-step guide with checklists of what do you need to focus on for any stage. All you have to do is go to onlinetutorcoach.com/game, and you can play the game of tutoring with us.
Awesome. I love that. That's fantastic. You don't know what you don't know is just the best tip because it's, so many people start with a business card with it's a logo. No, 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 please don't.
No,
There's
no,
just
and then you end up with a pile of them because they're so cheap on Vistaprint. You're like, "Oh, I can get 400 of these for, like, $30. Yeah, let's do it."
I have a few
Like
piles of business cards over here. We don't need to talk about those. Yeah, don't do that. Okay.
yeah,
What you need to work on is the stuff that's actually going to make your business start doing business. And if you don't know
yes,
what that is, then you need help. You need, a group, you need a coach, you need to spend way more hours than you probably think, like learning, watching, YouTube videos or Joanne's Instagram reels, just trying to figure out the beginning stages. Um, Although I'd still recommend getting a coach. You just need to spend that time understanding what you need to know before you can dive on in. I think that's huge.
yeah, it
Okay,
absolutely is.
another question for you. So we're bringing in all this money of all these students, but you're running a business, which is not something that teachers learn how to do in school. So are there any tools or resources that you would recommend for managing the financial aspects of your tutoring business? So that way a teacher can just not have to worry about that as much. Since
Yeah, Tutorbird. Tutorbird. And you guys, if you type in tutorbird.com/Joanne-Kaminski, you can get 3 months free of Tutorbird. Typically they give a 30-day, but you can get a 90-day trial. What Tutorbird does is it automates all of those systems that you don't want to be spending time on. Do you want to spend a lot of time invoicing and collecting money and chasing your money down? Probably not. You don't even know that's going to be a thing yet, but it's going to be a thing. So, you think in the beginning, maybe I'll just go with Venmo. Maybe I'll just do something like that. No, it's a terrible idea. Like, run your business as a legit business. You are online. People are going to be able to track your money. You are going to get found out. This is no longer an under the table business. This is not like driving to somebody's house, grabbing the cash, and then leaving and not having to take account into it. So we do have to pay taxes just like everybody else's, but there's a tax strategy that you can play as you increase your income with your business. So I have now moved my business from an LLC to an S corp. And in the beginning, I was just a sole proprietor, and I probably still would be. Well, no, I wouldn't be a sole proprietor still. Um, But I mean, in the beginning, for a lot of years, like I was probably able to be a sole proprietor for a good 7 years of my tutoring business, and it worked fine. It was the easiest business setup I could possibly get. So you don't have to worry. Do I need to be a sole proprietor, an LLC? You are a sole proprietor right now. You're just trying to get students. Like start there.
I love
It's
that
going to
how
be the
you
easiest
have
way.
I love how you have just a simple resource, and I love how you're encouraging people to run their business as a business from the get go. You don't want
Mm-mm.
to start your business as a weird. I'm taking cash here. I'm taking Venmo here. I'm taking this PayPal thing over here. Whatever you're doing, and then I'm trying to figure out what my finances are at the end of the year with my accountant, or heaven forbid, not having an accountant and using like TurboTax or something while you're running a business. Don't recommend that. Um, just start it as business. Have a software that does it for you, takes your payments.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And
And it
the
it it creates automatic payments. So if you want to bill automatically for the next month, it does it automatically. So you don't have to worry about not getting paid if a student doesn't show on up. You get paid on time every time, even if they're not on time.
That's fantastic. And if you're interested in that link, you can find it in our show notes. All of our show notes are at teachermoney.show.com/podcast. So go to teachermoney.com/podcast. You'll be able to find all of our show notes there. All right. We are coming to the end of our time here. So and you can answer this next question more towards tutoring if you like. But I'm just wondering, what is your number one tip for teachers to have a richer wallet classroom life?
I think it's just being like really mindful on what you're spending your money on and what you want your money to go towards. I found myself, I played a game at one point in time with myself of every day I doubled my money. So I started off my day with $10, and the next day I had $20, and the next day after that I had $40, and I had to try to spend all this money. And I started really thinking about, as I got to the higher amounts, what is it that I really want? Right? Do I want all of this little kind of junky stuff like clogging up and cluttering my life? Or are there some bigger things that I want? Do I want to go experience, vacations and those kinds of things? It's really taking a look then at, in the beginning, I had to actually start shopping at Aldi because we were on one income now when I started my tutoring business. And I still shop at Aldi because we just got used to it, right? And it saved me 50% of my food bill. Making those kinds of decisions will help you then be able to use your money for the things you actually want to use them for, instead of your money dictating what it is that you do, what you're going to do with it, right? Like we always want to go after that instant gratification. What's going to make me happy right now? Right? I go onto Amazon, I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna buy it," because it's so easy, right? It's like one click and you're done. And then all of a sudden it shows up like it's a Christmas present on your front door. You guys, they're not Christmas presents. You paid for them, okay? Like think about that before you hit that button. Track your money. There's a great tool online. Every dollar, I think it's called.
Every dollar.
Um,
That's Dave Ramsey's
yes.
tracker. There's a lot of them. Mint is another
Yeah.
one. But there's a lot of ways to track your finances. Every dollar's a
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, track your money. Know what tell your money what you want it to do versus your money telling you what you're able to do. Right? And so right now we are saving money. So I've got 3 kids going through college. I have a wedding and I have a house, my dream house that I am purchasing before my last daughter goes into college. And she wants to go to college in Florida, which is where I want to buy my house. So I need to buy the house a year before she goes so we can qualify for in-state tuition. So that's what we're focused on right now is, okay, that's where the money's going to go right now. I can spend my time right now making money instead of spending a ton of money on things that I don't need, unless they're experiences that I have saved for. Another thing is whenever you're spending money, um, don't fall prey to like payment plans. You will always pay more on a payment plan. Do not pay unless you have the full amount and then move forward. If you don't have the full amount, say no. There's no reason why the poor need to keep paying more money than everybody else because we need to be on a payment plan, right? It may mean that you have to put off what it is that you want for 3, 6, 9 months so you can put the money aside. I wanted an Apple computer when I first started my tutoring business, and my husband was completely against anything Apple. I mean, he had a hate relationship with Apple. I don't know where it came from, but he just had it. I didn't. I really wanted a Mac Air. I was like, you know what? I'm saving up my own money. I was doing some babysitting before school because I already had kids at my house and I had to take them to school. So why not? I was doing tutoring. I took all my own cash and I bought my computer and was like, you don't get to decide what I'm going to buy. These are here are the things that I want. Here are the things that I need to be able to run my business. And um, you can choose to do what you want. Here's the rest of the money. But it felt really good to have that money and just be like, all right. Now, I didn't go and put it on my credit card and just buy it. That would have ended up in an argument with him, I think. But it took me, I think, 10 months, and it was like me saving $100 a month to have that money so that I could get the nicer computer that I wanted.
I love it. Those are all amazing, amazing tips. Track your spending is what I preach to the rooftops all the time. Track your spending. And I love. Don't get on a payment plan. You're going to spend more money. It's usually an obscenely larger amount of money if you're getting onto a payment plan. So please be wary of that. Okay, last question then for you. Where can our teachers find out more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to onlinetutorcoach.com and you will find out more information about me, some of the free resources that I have to support you guys. And I obviously have other additional resources like I have my business in a box and those kinds of things like that you can purchase if you want to, but a ton of free resources out there to get you started. Because I know that a lot of us, when we're getting started on a budget, right? And we are trying to bootstrap as much as we can, but we also want to learn from people who've been there, done that, and are getting great success. Who wants to learn from somebody who's not getting good results or never had a tutoring business to begin with, right? Don't listen to those people. Don't let them con you into thinking they know what to do for tutoring. It's a whole different world for us.
All right. Well, thank you, Joanne. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If you'd like to come on the podcast for coaching, to share an expert opinion, or just to talk about a topic you think is relevant, I'd love to talk to you. Just fill out the form at teachermoneyshow.com/guest. I look forward to talking with you.